On January 9th, two of President Trump's top campaign officials texted each other about the president's glaring silence on the tragic death of Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who succumbed to his injuries the night of January 7th. Murtaugh said, also not to have acknowledged the death of the Capitol Police officer. Wolking responded, that's enraging to me. Everything he said about supporting law enforcement was a lie.
New text revealed by the January 6th committee last night reveal how Trump's own campaign aides were shocked and upset by his refusal to acknowledge the death of Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick. Campaign manager or campaign spokesman Tim Murtaugh told a colleague he believed that Trump wasn't mentioning Sicknick because if he did, quote, he'd be implicitly faulting the mob. Congresswoman Elaine Luria took a moment to thank Officer Sicknick and the other first responders from that day.
We're honored to be joined tonight by police and first responders who bravely protected us on January 6th. Your character and courage give us hope that democracy can and should prevail, even in the face of a violent insurrection.
Joining us now are the family members of Officer Sicknick, his brothers, Ken and Craig Sicknick, and his mother, Gladys. Thank you all for getting up with us this morning to talk about this. And I imagine hearing those text messages of what they were saying in real time behind the scenes is pretty frustrating.
Yeah, it was. I thought it would get easier after almost 2 years of this, but it's getting harder and harder, especially after you learn new things that are coming out.
It's extraordinarily frustrating. The president's supposed to represent the country, and we're so far been overall a pretty good world example of how to run things. And well, with the last administration, that went right out the window.
And you listened to the lawmakers last night talk, and his own staff testify that he had opportunity after opportunity to call off the violence, but he didn't want to do so.
Well, you know what? I was thinking about this a little bit. That we are focusing on the fact that he just didn't act at all for 3 hours, which is just absolutely ridiculous. For first time in a long time, I'm angry from seeing it again and just realizing that he did nothing. But overall, we should be focusing on the fact that he started this whole thing to begin with. So yeah, he's at fault for not stopping it, but he is really at fault for riling up the crowds and getting they're real sycophants, following whatever word he says. They were on their phones. We saw a video of them looking at their text messages for their next command to, call off, to do whatever they needed to do. I'd like to focus on the fact that he's responsible for it happening in the first place.
And Ken, what did you make of the testimony from Sarah Matthews, who was a deputy press secretary, talking about the internal struggle to get him to say something, but saying he did not want to use the word peace or peaceful in his message?
I don't understand. It's obvious to me that his existence in the White House had nothing to do with helping the country, had nothing to do with looking out for the best interests of the country. It was looking out for him. It was looking out to make sure he's in power, to make sure he can control everything. And the silence of the 3 hours, it could have been him stuck deciding, whether to say something, but ultimately it was him covering his rear end and him making sure that he was in power and that he could not admit to anything happening. And I can't comprehend him not doing a thing to stop that. He knew what was going on. We saw in the testimony minutes after his little rally.
And Craig and Gladys, there was this moment that really stood out to me last night where you saw Eric Hirschman, who was this attorney inside the White House at the time. He talked about just what that day was like, the chaos inside the West Wing. And he talked about how drained they were by the time Trump did finally put out that statement from the Rose Garden. But the attorney from the committee who was interviewing them noted that when they were kind of calling it a day, talking about how drained they were, that was still in the middle of the afternoon when rioters were still there at the Capitol. And these officers, including Brian, and these people were still in the middle of dealing with responding to this.
Yeah, that really bothered me a lot. And, you know, they went home to their families, they had dinner. I don't know what, if they had little kids, what did they tell their little kids? And what really bothers me about this whole thing is that all the people around Trump, they stayed with him for 4 years and let this happen. So they're culpable too, big time, in my eyes anyway.
It's astonishing. He decided he had a rough day and it was time to go to bed. Meanwhile, people were still being injured, some of them quite severely. Many of them were just trying to do their job and support the country. And the oath that they swore, which apparently Trump ignored. And, you know, it's just unbelievable that this can happen in the United States.
It is unbelievable. It's unbelievable to watch them lay out to just each crucial moment of what happened and really what didn't happen. Ken, Craig, Gladys, you guys have been through a lot, and we're very grateful that you came on to talk about this because I do think it's important. I'm glad the committee went out of their way to note the contributions from Brian and everything and to honor him. And we're very sorry for your loss, but we do thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.